Good evening. Welcome to Public Intel. I am Dakara Ekpendu, reaching out to you from Nigeria's nation capital, Abuja. Today, we begin the show with Africa security trends. In a bid to strengthen legislative leadership for Africa's development among African legislators, the first fiscal conference of speakers and heads of African parliaments, CoSAP, was held in the capital of Nigeria, Abuja, 9th and 11th of May 2022 during the week. The conference themed Enhancing Africa's Post-COVID Economic Recovery through Parliamentary Leadership, which was initiated by Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, along with fellow speakers from Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, Senegal, and South Africa. Also, during the week, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, made a call on retired officers of the Nigerian Army to feel free to offer their opinions and suggestions that could bring benefits in ongoing operations to tackle insecurity in the country. He made the clarion call on Tuesday at the Combat Arms Training Week 2022. Now analyzing this with me virtually is Capt. Atanda Fatai Rtd. Capt. Atanda is Public Intel Africa Security Trends Analyst. Captain, thank you very much for joining. Speakers and heads of the African Parliament during the meeting have urged the global community to blacklist countries without democratic government in place. You know, they said there is a new trend of military coup that could set the continent, that is the African continent, on a reverse gear of many years and erode the development gains that has been achieved through constitutional democracy. Captain, how would this, help to foster the unity in Africa? Blacklisting those countries in the African continent. And also, how do you think blacklisting them is a strong recommendation that would address the growing trend of military coups in some parts of the continent?
Yes, I will start by first going back into history. We have had a total number of 54, we have a total number of 45 coup d'etats since 1950 within 54 African countries. And that's a record for a check. However, in recent times, the issue of coup d'etat has become what is termed as outdated, old-fashioned, no more in vogue. So you don't find these things, this coup d'etat coming in as regular as it used to be. And they were very, and the very obvious reasons are that it is expected that democracy has come to stay. But let's really look back first and find out, why do we have these issues occurring, especially in the African setting? There are a lot of reasons for it. First and foremost is deficiencies in government. We have greed too of individuals who sometimes want to even use the military to attain power. You have selfishness, mismanagement, and of course with mismanagement you have corruption. And in most times also you have abuse of human rights. So there are a lot of causes. So I would expect that for CoSAP to take this decision, they are looking ahead and trying to see how they can use parliamentary power to try and control, reduce, and if possible, eliminate the issues of coup d'etat in our African continent. Looking back in the last 2-3 years, we've had a run of coups. Burkina Faso in 2021, they're still trying to solve the problem of how to hand over to a civilian government. There was an attempt in Guinea-Bissau, failed. The Malian issue is still there in our hands, and you will agree that the Economic Community of West African States Commission has been trying to resolve these matters, but we don't seem to see a decisive step taking effect as it should be, because the men in arms feel they still have a hold. And when they have a situation where other countries, like I know, you've had a situation where Nigeria in particular has had to intervene in some coup d'etats within the West African sub-region. It will solve problem, but when you don't have that overriding factor over other countries, because it will look like you're also trying to, interfere with their country's government. So you cannot just say, but the commission has a role to play, and the ECOWAS Commission has been playing that role, however ineffective it has been. So to see CoSAP come together and forge out strategies, yes, you can blacklist, but before you blacklist, I would suggest that you find out the root cause, because you can go up, solve the problem, and it repeats itself. So it is imperative that when you are doing this, you do it along with finding out the cause of why it is happening, and trying to ensure that you attack the root cause first.
Okay, all right, Captain. Yeah, I agree with you. And moving forward, on the day 2 of the first CoSAP meeting in Abuja, they all agreed together as a body that African, debts owed by African countries should be cancelled. And I'm wondering, do you think the debt cancellations would help fight the rising insecurity crisis across Africa, or would it actually worsen it?
Well, to start with, a country in debt is not safe. Yes, it is okay to go take debts, but you should be able to pay debts. It's okay also to seek for debt cancellation or debt relief. But it's also important that you put in place measures. You don't encourage, and that's what one of the things they're trying to do. There should be transparency about every debt you collect. There should be also supervision of, but it's always difficult to have a foreign country that gives you debt to come and supervise that debt. It's again an interference on the country's integrity. But more than anything, if there's a forum, if there's a platform of African parliamentarians, speakers, and they look for a solution, they have conversation, because we have the same similar problem of poverty in our own countries. So if there's a great platform, a good conversation, a good strategy that we apply so that we get these loans and have the capacity to pay these loans, we can't continue. It's not every time you keep seeking for debt cancellation or a debt relief. There must be a full collaboration, and it's better when not for individual countries to start asking for these monies. It's better you have a regional approach towards this. So I agree with the request that, or with the lead by a platform like this, asking for the fact that you can please reduce our debt or cancel it entirely. Because if you are indebted, there's very little way for progress, because you'll be thinking of how do we pay up these debts? Then after we have this cancellation, they should have drawn up a strategy of how not to get, you can't run away from debts, definitely, but you have a strategy where you can get debts and pay debts without being embarrassed.
I really appreciate your analysis on this segment. That is, you just listened to Captain Atanda Fatai Rtd. He's Public Intel Africa Security Trends Analyst. Coming up next on Public Intel is Global Affairs. Do stay tuned.